Kindergarten Star Power winners this week are Olivia for Mrs. Winelines, Kira for Mrs. Pigliaventos, Bella for Mrs. Paces, Lewis for Mrs. Newman's, Justin for Mrs. Groth, Josephina for Mrs. Griesmer's, Ava for Miss B's, Aliana for Mrs. Bowman's, Dylan for Mrs. Antonini, Lady Hayes for Mrs. Zajetski's. Nice job, kindergarten winners.
Hi, Bradt friends. This is Mario here. I'm here to announce the first grade Star Power winners. In Mrs. Dennis's class, Quinn. In Mrs. Rao's class, Sila. In Mrs. Urbanski's class is Talon. In Mrs. Furrow's class, Connor. In Mrs. Hurst's class, Christopher. In Mrs. Masic's class, Dylan. In Mrs. Paleshi's class, Luciana. In Mrs. Shaluti's class, Sierra F. In Mrs. Verano's class, Mason A. In Mrs. Yates' class, Michaela. And Mrs. Filarecki's class, Julia K. Way to go, first grade.
Our second grade winners this week are Austin for Miss Deos, Isabella for Mrs. D'Agostino's, Colin for Mrs. Hackett's, Tristan for Mrs. McCabe, Cassidy from Mrs. Halverson, Connor from Mrs. McDuffie, Luke from Mrs. McGuire on the sneaker bus, Ryan from Mrs. Mosier's, Tyler from Mrs. Paleshi's. Nice job, second graders. Way to go.
And here are the class winners. Kindergarten, Mrs. Antonini's class. First grade, Mrs. Verano's class. And second grade, Mrs. Hackett's class. Way to go, Bradt School.